I'm a compost queen. I have become one with the compost.
I'm Samah Dada. I'm a cookbook author and recipe developer in the plant-based food scene, which is becoming more innovative every day. I'm on a mission to see how startups, restaurants, and chefs are changing the way we see and eat plants. And I can't wait to show you how to bring more delicious dishes into your kitchen.
Waste. From your rotten produce to your leftover takeout containers, there's a lot of it in the food system these days. A recent study found that the average US household trashes about 30% of its food. That adds up to a mind-blowing $240 billion a year, literally going in the garbage. I know waste seems like a huge problem to tackle when you're just one person, and corporations need to do their part. But a few small changes can make an impact. So today, I'm all about that low to no waste lifestyle. I'll be cooking with an expert in the sustainable food space, social star Max La Manna. Then, I'm headed to a restaurant that composts all of its food waste. But first, my fridge needs a little love. So, I'm headed to a low-waste grocery store, and it looks like I've got some packing to do.
I'm about to head out to go to Precycle, which is a zero-waste grocery store in Brooklyn. The thing about a zero-waste grocery store is that there's no packages, so I've got to come prepared. And luckily, I love being prepared. So, I'm gonna start packing up. Precycle was started by Katerina Bogatyreeva in 2018. Her goal? Eliminate wasteful plastic from food packaging. In 2019, over 140 million tons of single-use plastics were thrown out globally. While bulk bins for dried goods have existed at health food stores for many years, Katerina had a different vision. A one-stop shop with everything from flour to produce and even cleaning supplies, all without single-use packaging. Why did you decide to start Precycle?
Well, actually, it started with my own personal struggles to live a lower waste lifestyle. When my son was 5 years old, he was in a kindergarten and he had a sustainability lesson. So one day he came home and he said, "Mommy, do you know how long the plastic will remain in a landfill?" And at that moment, it sort of like made me realize that we have a responsibility towards future generations. So I took a very close look at my own trash at home, and I realized that a lot of the waste that I create actually comes from food shopping, whether it's the packaging or food waste itself.
So we can thank your son for this establishment?
In a way, yes.
You know, it feels like a really big challenge, right, for people to overhaul all of their life choices.
It's possible to shop with creating less waste in any store. It's just kind of seeing the right product. For example, I don't know, instead of canned beans, one can buy dry beans in a bulk store using a fabric bag, or just shopping in the perimeter of the store for unpackaged produce, or going to farmer's market.
And I think a lot of people get really excited when they go to a grocery store and they want to get everything, right?
Exactly, yeah. I think shopping for 1 or 2 meals or a couple of days in advance is the key, because one tend to buy a lot, and then with every day that product sits in your fridge is less likely you're going to use it, and that creates a lot of waste.
Katerina, not to brag or anything, but I came very prepared. So tell me how I get started.
Okay, it's very easy. So we're going to just weigh your containers so that we know what to deduct when we check you out. All right?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Here I go.
Go. And the weight is 0.97. We're going to write it with this washable marker.
Oh, that's edgy.
There we go.
Perfect. And then you're going to deduct this from whatever I'm putting in here.
Exactly.
Amazing. That's so easy.
Forgot containers? Don't worry. The store has a selection of glass jars and reusable bags.
So Samah, what are you making today?
Honestly, what am I not making today, Katerina? But actually, I came here specifically to make a pasta.
Oh, wonderful. I have a really nice selection for you.
Let's
Come
go.
this way.
pasta. This variety is amazing. Where do you source all of these amazing ingredients from?
So about 95% of all the products in the store are sourced locally, and about 80 hyper-locally. So this pasta is from New Jersey, and this is made in upstate New York.
I also loaded up on my favorite kitchen staples, like moong dal, cashews, and of course, a ton of dates.
This is the only appropriate size to get some medjool dates, okay?
Precycle even has extra virgin olive oil and honey on tap. Even the tofu here comes without wrapping.
Feels very overwhelming on where to start. Do you have a couple easy, actionable tips for somebody looking to reduce their waste?
Some of the simple ones are reusable water bottle, your own coffee cup if you go to a coffee shop, or just simply bringing a bag. Or if you want to challenge yourself, and maybe that's the next step, you can also look into just what waste you're creating and pick an item that you can replace or source differently that works for you. I think it's a very individual journey. There's no recipe that fits all.
Single-use plastics are nearly impossible to avoid at most grocery stores. But shopping at Precycle gave me a new perspective on what's possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you, and thank you for having me in.
It also had me wondering, how can I waste less in the kitchen? Up next, I've got a virtual cooking lesson with Max La Manna, a vegan chef known for his tasty and sustainable recipes. Back at my apartment, I couldn't wait to get cooking. To help upgrade my low-waste game, I called on London-based chef Max La Manna. Max is a vegan social star who focuses on sustainable cooking, and I am here for it.
Max, it's so good to see you and chat with you. We are online Instagram friends, but not real life, and this is as close as we're gonna get right now since you're in London.
Hopefully when we meet in real life in IRL, we could be friends as well.
We can be friends and we can cook in person, but for now we're cooking online. Can you talk to me about your background and also what you sort of specialize in when it comes to food?
Yeah, I'm a low-waste chef. I started cooking maybe about 15 years ago. My first job was in a pizza restaurant, and I've kind of just worked every single position in a restaurant. So yeah, a few years ago I started seeing the problem that we're all currently living with, because at the end of the day, it's not just food that we're wasting. It's money, it's time, it's energy, it's water, it's transportation, it's packaging. There's so much that goes into the production of food that just throwing away food doesn't make any sense.
In 2019, Americans threw away over 133 billion pounds of food.
The major culprits are typically fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and potatoes and bread. So a lot is being thrown away, but we as consumers can make small changes every day to waste less food.
On Instagram, Max teaches his 1 million followers easy, low-waste food tips. One in particular went pretty viral. Yes, you really can eat an entire strawberry, stems, leaves, and all.
Okay, I'm really excited to get cooking with you. So can you tell me what we are making today?
Are you ready? We are making cauliflower Alfredo. Yes. That's it. Simple, easy,
But
delicious.
there is a little no waste secret because we're gonna use the entire thing, right?
The entire thing, nothing's going to waste, Samah. Everything. Yes, the core, the leaves, even this guy right here, the florets, everything.
First up, prepping our cauliflower.
I just have a saucepan of water behind me, and that's on a low boil right now. It doesn't get much simpler than this. You don't need to prep or cut or do anything. You just literally take the entire cauliflower, submerge it in the water for about 5 minutes until it gets fork tender. But I am going to put some salt in there. You with me, Samah?
I'm with you, but I'm just gonna chop it up super roughly before I add it into my steaming basket.
You can also save your leaves, and if you wanted to, you can roast them in the oven, and they would be nice and crunchy and crispy, a little soft and tender on the inside. Without further ado, Samah, I'm ready to give this cauliflower a bath.
The cauliflower steams for about 5 minutes, just until fork tender. Now, onto the garlic.
What you can do with garlic peelings. You can actually eat the whole entire garlic peeling as well, but we won't do that here today.
You're not gonna demo that for me? I'm upset.
I won't demo that for you. I'm not gonna eat it. No, I'm not. So two things you can do. You can dehydrate the skin. Once it gets nice and dried, you can blend it into a powdery consistency, and that can be basically a powder that can go into any kind of like soups, stews, or stir fries. The other thing I like to do is that I actually keep my peelings. Yeah, I keep my peelings and we'll make a veg stock afterwards.
Max sauteed his garlic in olive oil for a subtle sweetness, but I'm leaving mine raw for a spicier kick.
So I love this recipe because the sauce is super easy. So you're literally just adding all of the ingredients into a blender.
I'm just gonna cut right down the cauliflower.
My cauliflower is finally done. Okay, so we're both adding our cauliflower, florets, stems, leaves, all of the above.
I will add my garlic and pasta water.
Okay, so I'm gonna add my garlic in, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of my reserve pasta water, just a touch. And this will just help it blend, and also it's a nice way to not waste our pasta water. It gets everything really nice and velvety. You are using silken tofu for this recipe, right? And I'm gonna use hummus. So this is kind of a nice alternative. If you don't do soy, you can try it with hummus. If you do like soy, you can try it with tofu. So we've got options for everyone. And what do you think the tofu adds to your Alfredo, Max?
Tofu's adding protein, but it's also adding another layer of creaminess as well. Maybe a lighter creaminess than the hummus, but still creamy.
Do you have lemon in yours?
We have lemon.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab my lemon.
Yep.
And I wanna ask you what you do with lemon peel.
The peel itself has so much flavor in it. If I'm gonna use the juice, I use the zest first and then use the juice. The other thing I like to do as well, if I'm not gonna use my lemons in time, I blend the whole entire lemon.
Really?
With some water, and then I pour them into ice cube trays, freeze it, and next day I have frozen lemon cubes. And then I can add some, sparkling water.
That's really nice. I'm gonna try that.
Half the lemon gets zested right into the blender. The rest is saved for later.
We've got a lot of our elements in here, but now we're gonna go in with some nutritional yeast, right? A little bit of cheesiness, a savory flavor. All right, what are you adding next?
I'm gonna add some vegan Parmesan.
Nice. So this is cool because we've got the nutritional yeast for that cheesy flavor. You're using some vegan parm. And then the cauliflower, the tofu, the hummus, they all add these really nice, creamy elements, right?
This is my preparation dance for once it's all coming together. It's like,
I had some leftover veggie stock, so I poured that in for a little extra flavor.
I'm practicing.
Enough dancing. Time to get blending again.
I just hit the switch. Oh.
The two creamy sauces are complete.
I'm ready for the pasta.
Do you also have some fettuccine?
I do. I'm using fettuccine pasta.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna probably add a little bit of the sauce into the pan to start, just to get it nicely coated with the pasta, and then I'll go ahead and add the pasta in there, and then I'll go ahead and add some of the rest of the sauce.
There are some other things you can do with this sauce because there's quite a bit of it, right? So what you could end up doing with the sauce is use it for soups, use it for stews, use it for even a dip. I mean, I think having a bit of like a chip in there, that's
really good.
Quite nice.
Okay, so I'm gonna add my pasta into my little pan.
And the rest of my sauce.
It's so creamy. It's like luscious. Love a saucy pasta, so I love recipes that yield a lot of sauce because I'm like, let's go,
A gentle toss in the sauce ensures every piece of pasta is well coated.
I'm ready to plate up, Samah.
I'm ready to plate up too, Max. Okay, so I'm gonna save this pasta sauce for tomorrow, but you could also freeze it too, so that's another option.
Time to give this pasta a no-waste taste.
So we've got our pepper, we've got our lemon zest, we've got our salt. What do you want to garnish with? The lemon zest?
Off on the side, just on top, some lemon zest.
Beautiful.
I'm happy with the result. How's it looking on your end?
Delicious. You know what I think we both have in common is that our phones eat before us. Shall we grab a little photo?
Phones do eat before us.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready to eat. You ready to eat?
I'm ready, yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is so unexpected and so good. So creamy.
That's what I was just going to say. I said this is very, very creamy.
So what are some tips that you have, some other tips for people who are looking to reduce their waste in the kitchen and while they're cooking?
I think the most practical and easy thing is to cook the food you already have before going out and buying more food. Then shopping and creating a list with that shopping list. And stick to that list. Don't go off the list, buying other different bits and bobs. Like, stick to that list. But before you go there, I think find recipes that work with your schedule. Donating food is a great option, but also my favorite, compost. Composting food shows that food is going back into the earth, back into the soil to give rich nutrients to the soil, giving rich nutrients to the plants that grow our food.
Max, this was so much fun. And thank you for doing your work and educating and inspiring people to cook and eat no waste and low waste. It's incredible.
That's delicious.
This recipe is gonna be on repeat for me.
Composting is a crucial part of a low-waste lifestyle. At Papil Gustativ in Santa Monica, the owners are committed to composting 100% of leftover food. They operate their own kitchen-to-compost facility where scraps are turned into nutrient-rich mulch.
Let me show you around our low-waste establishment.
Let's do it! Papil Gustativ translates to taste buds in Latin. It's run by Kalen Senchak and his wife Marina. They use simple but effective methods to cut down on waste.
So starting with the to-go, everything is compostable. Starting from the lids, the trays, of course the napkins, and all the cutlery is made out of wood or out of compostable material, paper straws. Even our trash bags, if you see, there's a special trash bags that are compostable as well.
Even the restaurant's napkins are hand-sewn from recycled jean scraps. And to avoid plastic in the kitchen, chefs use only glass bowls and containers.
And what happens, Kaylin, to maybe the fruit or vegetables that aren't perfect when you receive them?
We make jams, we make pastries, and for that we actually look for fruits and vegetables that might be aesthetically blemished, right? But they are perfect. And we hate to see the farmers have to throw those away.
You have a really huge compost mission with this restaurant. Can you show me how that's kind of done back here as well?
Yes, this is our own compost, which is coffee, food, greens, eggshells, avocado peels, everything else.
Eggshells even.
Yes,
That's
of course,
amazing.
eggshells. Eggs and coffee actually are one of the best things that you can feed the soil for plants, yes? Because the calcium, because of all the other nutrients, so that makes your garden beautiful.
I am so excited and ready to try your food, Kaylin. Should we get into it?
Absolutely, let's try everything.
Let's do it.
Marina and Kaylin are both passionate about building sustainable habits, which led them to the food industry.
What was your inspiration behind starting this restaurant?
First, we actually were inspired just to open a coffee shop, coffees and teas, single origin, like really good quality. But then eventually people were asking us about more. They wanted food, they wanted breakfast, they wanted lunch, and we expanded gradually.
But Kaylin and Marina are just as focused on what happens after the tables are cleared.
You own the composting process from start to finish, even the facility. Can you tell me about that process from start to finish?
We have this little property in downtown where we have another company, and we are thinking, why don't we use that, right? So we did a little research, and then it became clear that's very easy to compost if you really put your heart into it. So all you have to do is dig some holes, aerate them properly, and just mix all your compost there, and then eventually you can use it from growing crops.
What do you think the restaurant industry can learn from your low-waste model?
Well, they will learn that's actually very easy to do. You only have to commit, you only have to put a system in place, and it's going to make a great impact at the end of the day.
You have kids, and this mission is really important to saving our earth, right?
Absolutely. We're doing it for the future generation, we do it for our kids, we do it for everybody.
For their kids and their kids and for all the generations, yeah.
The food here speaks for itself. They even have vegan croissants.
This makes me so happy. I can never have croissants. It's very important for me to take a photo of everything because otherwise I'll forget, and this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
After lunch, my leftover scraps went straight into the compost bin.
No food waste.
In Santa Monica, California, Papille Gustative is on a mission to stop food waste. I helped load up the truck that will take their kitchen scraps to the restaurant's very own composting facility. Kevin Conaway is Papille's expert composter.
Compost it up, so.
Cool.
The composting site is located about an hour from the restaurant. Here, they've transformed an empty lot into an urban garden.
What are we doing today?
What you need to know about composting is that there's not much to know.
Okay.
Pretty much just layering it up.
Once we put everything in, what happens in the process?
Microorganisms are going to eat the food, they're going to break it down, and pretty much it'll just disappear. It'll all just be wet. And we keep it wet, just a little bit of water.
Okay.
If it gets too dry, it slows everything down.
It's best to compost in a shady area, so Kevin dug up large pits by trees. But you can also compost in any kind of container, from a storage bin to a trash can.
All right, Kevin, I'm ready to compost. This is everything we're composting today, right?
Yep.
First, we made a layer of green materials, which is basically anything left over from the kitchen or garden. Think veggie scraps, coffee grinds, eggshells, and plant trimmings.
Stuff it out, yeah, make a mess.
And then I can toss the bag in too, right?
Right.
Then we added carbon-rich brown materials. This can include shredded paper, cardboard, twigs, and dried leaves.
And what do those layers do? What is the cardboard, the sticks? Why are we adding that to the compost process?
Because if you have all scraps and no cardboard or no carbon on top of it, it just turns into a mushy, gooey mess.
Then, just continue alternating with green and brown layers until the waste is all used up.
Okay. Woo! I'm a compost queen. I have become one with the compost.
Meat, dairy, and oils should only be broken down by industrial composting facilities. They can attract unwanted pests like rats and flies in a home garden. Meat can also contain harmful bacteria like Salmonella, which can spread throughout a garden's edible plants.
How long does it take for a compost to break down, Kevin?
Generally, anywhere 6 months to a year. If you keep it moist, it'll be pretty much ready to go in 6-9 months.
Finished compost is a nutrient-rich mulch. It's a deep brown that basically looks just like dirt.
So what have you been growing then with the soil that you kind of can create through the composting
Just
process?
vegetables mostly.
Okay. What
Yeah.
kinds of vegetables?
Yeah.
Anything.
Peppers, tomatoes, anything that Colleen thinks he needs for his menu, then we'll plant it.
This compost garden is still a work in progress, but by next spring, it will produce enough food for regular restaurant use.
Kevin, it's really interesting because Vernon is such an industrial area, right? And you're literally creating a compost facility right in its backyard.
You don't need a plot of land to compost. You could literally compost in an apartment, be on a smaller scale. This kind of material in a landfill, it doesn't really break down and do any good. So instead of throwing them in the landfill and just going to waste, we can recycle those nutrients, put it back into the soil.
Kevin, thank you so much for teaching me how to compost. It was shockingly way easier than I expected, and I will be back to reclaim my duties as your apprentice composter. Thank you.
Managing food waste is a massive undertaking, and many changes can only be made through legislation. The EPA found that less than 10% of U.S. households had access to curbside compost collection in 2017. That's a lot of food we could be saving from landfills if we just had compost bins next to recycling and trash. Some big changes are already in the works. Major cities like Los Angeles and New York are expanding city-run composting, and those advances are due in large part to individuals petitioning for better policies. Sometimes it takes local changes to kickstart a global impact.